Hi everyone, Chef from Outdoors in the Low Countries. In this video we're going to look at this chainsaw, the battery powered professional chainsaw from STIHL, the MS300 CO. So why did I buy a battery powered chainsaw? Well, there are two reasons for that. The first one is that it makes much less noise. So when doing something in the neighborhood and you want to keep your neighbors happy, this will be a very good investment. But also for myself, because I'm quite cautious about hearing protection, and with this saw this is much less of a deal. Also with this chainsaw you still have to wear hearing protection, but because the noise level is much smaller, it will be much more pleasant to work with. And the second reason is that it's very easy to use. So especially for the handy type of work like pruning, or when you want to remove something, you just simply take the saw and it runs. Now that electrical saws can be very handy, only you know from this guy. Now don't underestimate this little saw because it's quite powerful, and I use it a lot for pruning and working for some small stuff around the house. The disadvantage of course is that you always need to connect it to a mains connection, but with a long cable you get quite a distance as well. And with the MS300C also these disadvantages are gone. Strong engine, no cable, and a longer blade, so you can also do the felling of somewhat larger trees as well. And low noise and handy to use. So very curious how much I like this professional chainsaw from STIHL, battery powered. Now as you might have seen in one of my other videos, the MS261, this one, is really my favorite chainsaw. I use it for almost everything, and because it's such a nice saw, I hardly use the heavier one, the 362. This is the standard saw that I always take when doing some work. But it has one main clear disadvantage: it makes a lot of noise. And that's exactly why I'm so interested in this one, because the noise level is much smaller on this saw. According to the specification of STIHL, 118 for the MS261, while for the MS300 CO it's 109 dB. Well, now you might think that, hey, wait a minute, 118 versus 109, that's about 10%, who cares? Well, it doesn't work like that. The dB scale is a logarithmic scale, so that means that 3 dB is already a factor of 2 smaller in noise level. And this, now we're talking about 9 dB. Now let's look at the type indication. This is the MS261. MS stands for motorsäge, or as we say in Dutch, motorzaag, which means a saw with an engine. In English they say chainsaw. It still doesn't specify that it has an engine, which I think is the most important indication and advantages of these systems. The MS261 is the successor of the old 026, and those saws had about 2.6 kilowatt of engine power. Now the MS261 is already a next generation, and that's why the one is at the end. And this one has 3.0 kilowatt, so it's already increased a little bit. Now the MSA 300 CO, what we have here, is also of course a motorsäge, so a chainsaw with an engine, but also it has a battery, and in German as well as in Dutch we say accu. So that means the H stands for motorsäge with an accu, chainsaw with a battery. The 300 should indicate that this has a power of 3.0 kilowatt. Well, the electrical power actually is 3.0 kilowatt, but the mechanical power at the chain, because of some losses, is 2.5 kilowatt. So this one is less powerful than the MS261, but it also makes much less noise, so we'll see. This chainsaw comes with an LED display. When I touch it here, switches on, and you can see it's now in eco mode, and it also shows that the oil is too low. Well, it's brand new, so I didn't fill it with oil yet, so the sensor is working. That's also why this is a CO with oil sensor. If you now try to run the saw, it doesn't work. First you have to switch it on, and then it will run. This is the eco mode, which is for saving your battery by general sawing, a low change speed and a low power. With this button you can change it to another mode. This is the felling mode, with medium change speed and maximum engine power. And of course in this mode the battery will last less long than going to eco mode. When you switch it one mode up, it's in the third and last mode, which is the limbing mode. This is with maximum change speed and maximum power for accurate cutting. And of course in this mode the battery will last the shortest. This chainsaw also shows that the brake is on. Now it's on. And now it's off. If you use a chainsaw now it won't run. First you have to put it on. Now it runs. When I take my hand away it will go off. And you first have to push the button again with the thumb to have it running. So there's also some safety in there. At this moment when you buy this saw with battery and charger, you get it with an extra spare battery. And if you are very nice to the dealer, he will also put in this nice battery box. And in this battery box you can store 2 batteries and a charger. And then you can take it easy with you. Like this. And the charge of the battery can be easily checked by pushing the button. And it's now fully loaded. Now I don't know what the weight is of this chainsaw with bar, chain, battery and the oil filled up. But that's something we're going to measure, and then we're going to compare both saws on a power to weight ratio. So this chainsaw also has these fast release caps. Let's put in some oil. And then now switch on. The oil empty indicator should not be on. So let's have a look. It's still on. That's weird. Okay, maybe there's a delay in the signal. Let's wait and see. Otherwise we have an issue. It is full, so it should go out. A little bit weird. Okay, we'll see. So now we're going to weigh this chainsaw with the battery installed and completely filled with oil. And the Steinberg scale with a resolution and accuracy of 0.1 kilos says 7.7 kilos. And for comparison we're also going to weigh the 261. .5 kilos completely filled up with bar, with chain. So let's compare these chainsaws. This electrical saw weighs 7.7 kilos, which is quite heavier than the MS261 with 6.5 kilos, and it's almost as heavy as the 362, the heavy fuel brother, which is 7.9 kilos. When we go to the engine power weight ratio, we see that the battery powered saw has this ratio of 0.32 kilowatt per kilograms, the MS261 0.46 kilowatt per kilograms, and the 362 0.43 kilowatt per kilograms. So the battery powered chainsaw is quite heavy for the power that it gives, but of course it has other advantages why this is such an interesting product. The MSA 300 also has the light 1.1 mm thickness chain, which goes very smooth through wood compared with the thicker 1.6 mm of the older chainsaw types. So let's now also test the device. We're going to cut down some of those cherry trees that you see in the back, which need to go anyway. Let's put the machine in felling mode, because that's exactly what we're going to do. And let's see how well it does. So I've cut down the first tree, it's now all in pieces. So I can now do the second one, still have full battery power. So let's compare. I'll first do with the high speed mode, middle speed mode, eco mode. So yes, you can really feel the difference in change speed, but to be honest, all three goes quite well. Of course, the highest gives the fastest results, but even in eco mode it goes quite nicely through. And yeah, it takes a little bit more time, but it's only a matter of seconds. So not even that bad. So both trees are now down and in small pieces, ready to take away. So let's also check now what the battery status is. And it says now 3 out of 4. So still good to go. And I used multiple modes and I like all three of them. So here behind me you see this tree that I will take out. I'm cleaning all this area and these ones also need to go. Now we'll use a single battery which is fully loaded. So let's see how far I get with cutting down these trees, see how much I can do on one battery. So I'm using felling mode. So was the battery, still 4 blocks. So I'm now going to take the large one. Two blocks. Now in delimbing mode. Almost gone. Nope, not this one. Almost through. All of this has been taken out by only one single charge of the battery package. So that's quite an impressive performance. And I must say, I'm not disappointed at all. It's quite a lot. The tree is almost gone. And it was not a small tree either. So let's compare the MSA 300 versus the MS261. Strong, stronger. Very lightweight. Less lightweight. Silent, noisy. Handy, even more handier. Great saw,
great saw. So the question, is there an added value for this battery charged chainsaw? Oh yes, there is. I really think it's great in handiness. Just push the button, running. So easy when you just have to remove a few branches, taking out a tree. You don't need to start it or to have it run or things like that. So when you really want to have a saw that you just use for a few things, put it away, doing some other stuff and then use it again, what you typically have in landscaping, this is a very nice saw for that. Another great thing about this is that it doesn't produce that much noise. To be honest, if you're working in an urban area where you just want to use it, or even at a day where you don't want to make too much noise for your neighbors or maybe also for the wildlife, also this is a very great saw. Is it then a replacement for the 261? I think it's an addition. Of course, if you don't do too much sawing, this is a great one. You don't need another one. But if you have to do a lot of sawing, you have to take down trees, do a lot of delimbing, especially when you take multiple trees and you have to cut them in pieces, taking out the branches, things like that. This is so light and so strong. This is still a great saw. But especially for the handiwork, to be honest, I already used it multiple times, because this one is just you take it, do some sawing, put it back, gone, ready. That's what I really like about this one. So for this saw, battery lifetime is very good. Did a lot of cutting with it. I'm impressed what you can do with only one battery. The different type of modes that you have is also very interesting, because I really use it. Especially for some easy delimbing, for cutting away some things. The Eco mode I already use a lot because it makes the saw very easy and it's good enough for those easy type of things. Of course, if you want to do it fast, then the other modes are better. And also for felling large trees, of course, that works better with the higher speed. But for the easy type of things that you typically use the saw for, I think the Eco mode is also already a very nice mode. And the light bar, which I also demonstrated on the 261, is a very good chain, going easy through the wood. In that sense, it's great. So the only major disadvantage of this saw compared to the 261 is the power to weight ratio, which clearly the 261 is the winner. But all the other things, I really love this saw. And I still have a lot of cutting to do in all the landscaping and the things like that, so it will be used a lot, I'm very sure about that. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. See you next time.